thing. They say you can see the whole universe in them. That's how fucking old they are. Dinosaurs fucking stared at this thing. It's not black.
Ever since I first heard Casey Neistat utter the words
Josh and Benny Safdie,
I've been obsessed with the New York-born filmmakers. Described by Martin Scorsese as two bandits, the Safdie brothers have quickly become some of the most unique and ballsy directors working today. Whether it's their 2009 film Daddy Longlegs, 2014's Heaven Knows What, or 2017's Good Time, the Safdies know how to pull an audience in with their attention to a film's most important component, the protagonist.
Alright, so I did this. So it fucks me.
Oh, you serious?
You like that?
There it is.
The importance of a protagonist cannot be understated. American novelist Henry James once stated, "What is character but the determination of incident? What is incident but the illustration of character?" James's statement from his brilliant essay The Art of Fiction represents the Safdie brothers as protagonists, and as such, perfectly represents Uncut Gems' lead, Howard Ratner. Before we tackle Ratner, let's discuss protagonists for a second. Some of my favourite protagonists are not what people would traditionally think of as a protagonist. Normally, a film's hero is someone who does all the right things, rarely messing up in a genuinely bad or extravagant way. For example, superhero movies have really traditional and understandable protagonists. Sure, some of these leads may make mistakes here and there, but they typically learn from those mistakes and live a pretty successful life afterwards. However, in Uncut Gems, Ratner makes a lot of mistakes and he doesn't really learn from them. He's not the best person in the world, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. The Safdies introduced the audience to Ratner, played brilliantly by Adam Sandler, in a truly fascinating way. Instead of giving the character a grand entrance like something from Ocean's 11, we introduce him in a way that he's at his most vulnerable. They introduce us to Ratner as we are looking right up his arse. Now sure, there's a little more nuance to it, like the fact that he's in the midst of a colonoscopy, but still, it's a ballsy way to bring the audience in. To the film, not to somewhere else. Uncut Gems follows Ratner, a smooth-talking Jewish jeweler with a horrible addiction to gambling. Now when I say horrible, I mean real bad. Said addiction often finds him in sticky situations with people you do not want to be in sticky situations with. The character is the emotional backbone to what the New Yorker's Richard Brody describes as mesmerizing chaos.
What are you thinking? What? Tell me. I don't want to... I know. What?
Your face is so stupid.
Okay.
As the film begins, the audience learns a few fundamental things. Number one, Ratner's a very funny guy.
Cookies. Yo, my man. Rondo's coming up. He can't help himself. He's gonna have to finish. And he scores.
Number two, he has a distinct swearing problem.
Fuck.
And number three, we learn that he owes some significant money to incredibly dangerous people.
I gotta get...
What did I tell you? I said no water. Didn't I tell you no water? I think it's in your best interest that you find some time for you.
Now, if we return to James's comment about protagonists and how they're defined by their incidents for a second, Uncut Gems follows this to a perfect T. The inciting incident in this film takes place when Ratner receives a black opal from Ethiopia, which he's been told is worth somewhere between $700,000 to $1 million. From the start, the audience sees how Ratner prioritizes money and profits over anything else in his life. His marriage is on the verge of collapse, his employees feel like shit, and as previously mentioned, his life hangs in the balance. This selfishness is perhaps best personified by the movie's opening scene. We watch as hundreds of Ethiopian miners crowd a man whose foot has been completely destroyed. We watch as the camera carefully glances upon the wound, showing us how dangerous the lives of these miners really are. But before we can even question it, or even understand it, the camera cuts away, following two other miners who show the audience the black opal Ratner has purchased for $100,000. The sequence in question clearly shows where Ratner's head is at, and how oblivious he is to the hardships of those around him. This failure to prioritise anything else above financial gain is brilliantly captured when one of Ratner's employees complains about being treated like shit.
These guys grabbed me, they dragged me over the counter, they ripped my shirt, they got me looking like a fool over here.
Take this shirt. That's a Gucci shirt. It's $500. It's brand new.
Are you fucking serious right now?
The
It ain't
tag's
about
still
the
on.
shirt. You know what I'm saying? I gave you 8 years of my life. Look how you're treating me, man.
During the conversation, Ratner literally zones out, focused only on the black opal, his pupils growing in stimulation as the employee whines and complains. When the character finally comes to, he simply stares at the employee and remarks,
Holy shit, I'm gonna come.
And fuck you, man. I'm finished with this shithole.
In a traditional story, Ratner would be an incredibly likable guy who just happens to have bad luck. He'd also probably be played by George Clooney or someone. However, in Uncut Gems, it appears as if he goes looking for this bad luck, as if a normal life and being happy are just completely foreign to him. A great example of this is how, despite knowing he's in deep trouble with Arno and his goons, he still calls them every insult under the damn sun.
Pussy. This fucker! Is that one of your boys? That fat fuck? Looks like you. Looks like one of your boys.
In this, the Safdies craft an incredibly active protagonist, which Robert McKee describes as a protagonist who takes action in direct conflict with the people and world around him. Audiences today respond incredibly well to these characters. Just look at the success of shows like Breaking Bad or Succession, or hell, even Curb Your Enthusiasm. These programs all feature leads who go against the world around them, and thus entice, thrill, even annoy us. Throughout Uncut Gems, Ratner has moments where he could just give it all away. He's on top and could simply settle. However, he always wants more, no matter the danger it puts himself and those around him in. Before the film's third act, Ratner receives the devastating news that his opal is merely worth $165,000, thus making him a profit of $65,000. Instead of being happy with these returns, he's devastated.
I don't know what I'm thinking. I don't know. Everybody's not ever going right.
I know.
I'm so sad. I'm so fucked up.
When he sells the gem to Celtics player Kevin Garnett, instead of taking the funds and just paying off his debt to Arno, Ratner simply wants more. He wants the big score. Garnett remarks,
You gave some niggas from Ethiopia $100,000 for something you thought was worth $1 million. You don't see nothing wrong with that house?
Ratner, always one to think of a quick reply, states,
You want to win by 1 point or fucking 30 points, KG, right?
and now therein lies the central character flaw with Ratner. Nothing is ever enough. Ratner later places a bet on the Celtics game, which could win him over $1.2 million. Well, if it pays off at least. In that same scene, Ratner remarks,
Doesn't that make you want to fucking kill them? Doesn't that make you want to say fuck you for doubting me? Doesn't that make you want to step on fucking Elton Brand's fucking neck?
Here, Ratner's showing how he feels about Arno and his goons, Phil and Nico. They're booing him. In his eyes, he's the star athlete. He's Kevin Garnett, just waiting for that winning shot. As the character states,
KG, this is no different than that. This is me. Alright? I'm not a fucking athlete. This is my fucking way. This is how I win.
when Ratner's killed at the end of the film, you can't help but feel like it was coming. The Safdies foreshadow this throughout the movie. A great example of this can be found while at Passover, in which Ratner delivers the English translation of the Hebrew prayers. Ratner makes a joke of one of the statements, death of the firstborn. He turns to his children and remarks,
Death of the firstborn. Hardcore back there. That can still happen. You know.
Through the Safdies' phenomenal direction and Sandler's game-changing performance, the movie paints him as a hero, until you realize he's really anything but. He's the villain. He lies, cheats, and steals.
Oh, yes. Oh, God, yes. Oh, fuck. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
So in answering this essay's central question, how is Howard Ratner a perfect protagonist? Well, simply put, you can't take your eyes off him. you still like him. You still want him to kinda succeed. You need to see him pay for his sins, but at the same time, you don't really want him to. He's the perfect protagonist because you genuinely care about him and those around him. But that said, there is a real sense of karma at the film's ending, as even in his death, Ratner isn't thinking about his family or his regrets. As we zoom in on his warm corpse, the only thing on his mind is that damn black opal and all the pain and drama it has caused.
That's the thing. They say you can see the whole universe in opal. That's how fucking old they are. I've been telling you. That's why I want you to see it.
Yo, that's crazy.
It's fucking from stone to stone. Garnet to stone, you know. That's $1 million opal you hold. Straight from the Ethiopian Jewish.
Hi everyone, thank you very much for watching this week's video. I am so stoked to be back and making videos for you guys, and I'm really delighted that the channel finally hit 61,000 subscribers. That means so much to me. So my next video is coming, and depending on how the comments go, it will either be on the Damien Chazelle film First Man, or the obscure Italian movie The Godfather. So please let me know in the comments below which one you guys would like to see more, and we'll go from there. Bye.